Moving on.
See here.
Getting our chops back, guys. Shaking the rust off.
No worries. Okay, you know what? All right, the next two stories that we're gonna tell, they're connected in a really weird way.
Okay.
So you got Joe Rogan, who's always worked so hard. He's a massive talent.
He's a Michael Jordan type, by the way. That's another what we're talking about, type A nut job.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like look at his accomplishments, man.
He has 8 jobs.
Yeah, Fear Factor wasn't taken off the air because it got boring. Fear Factor was literally taken off air at the top of it, just like Seinfeld, at the top of its game because they ran out of ideas. They were like, listen, we can't keep putting them on a bus every week or flinging them from a plane. It's like they just ran out of ideas. Mm-hmm. That's literally why Fear Factor got there. That's Joe Rogan.
So they exhausted it.
UFC from the ground up. Yeah, that's Joe Rogan. His amazing comedy specials. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's Joe Rogan. News radio with one of the best like sitcoms ever. That's Joe Rogan.
He talks about it in his show. He's like, I get addicted to everything that I like. And I'm the same way. Like when he talks about how he can't play video games because he'll do it for like 16 hours a day. I understand all that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. He is something, man. That dude is such a massive talent. Well, anyways, he's got, just like all massive talents. He has like a lot of hangers on, and, it's funny because the one that I think is the most talented, people do not like this guy. Ari Shaffir is like the most talented out of all.
People don't like him?
People, dude, if you
I think Ari Shaffir is hilarious.
Don't you think he'd be bigger right now? Dude, he has the
No, because he chooses not to though.
Ticket.
Yeah, but he chooses to travel the world and backpack, and he's not in the public eye constantly. He's not always pushing for his career. He disappears for months at a time, puts a special out of field. He lives a very special life. He doesn't even have a smartphone. He has a flip phone in his pocket. He can only text and call. Like he's not. I don't think that his goal of life is to become mega famous. I think he just makes enough money so he can just travel and live how he likes to live. He has no kids. He likes to see things. He likes to experience.
But he also puts his foot in his mouth a lot too. Like that
Kobe
Bryant thing.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, even if he went out and he did try to make more money, like built something, stuff like that, they're going to bring that. He's going to be canceled like that. That Kobe's one of those untouchable ones where it's like, first of all, you completely...
Is that why people hate him though? Is off of just that? I know that he had to flee the country for a while.
I'm telling
until the heat died down after he said that shit. Do you want to tell him what happened? For those that don't know.
Oh, for the Kobe thing?
Yeah. For those of you that don't know Ari Shaffir and his backstory. Yeah, we were pretty
much having a conversation.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Right now. No worries. Okay, so here's how this goes, right? So, and this is going, this is connected to everything that we're about to talk about. So Ari Shaffir is Joe Rogan's buddy. He's a massive talent, super good comedian. In my opinion,
he's got that dry acerbic wit.
Yes, and he's very intelligent. Quick. That's what I like about him.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah, he's always getting into it. He got into it with Stern and stuff like that. Well, anyways, when Kobe, the helicopter crash happened, and everybody, the whole nation was mourning, and you had all these people like really at their most tender and like vulnerable moment. Ari Shaffir gets on the internet and he starts laughing at the helicopter crash. He said, listen, I'm sorry for the rest of everybody on board. He's like, but I'm not going to sit here and act like that rapist is like, some type of.
He goes, the world lost another rapist or something like that.
And it was, dude, it was
rough.
Bad. It was really rough.
But you know what,
it was hard to watch.
Again, like people are going to hang on, fuck you for like, the guy's a comic. The guys, comics are wild. They say wild shit. Line. Let me put it this way. I don't think that he meant to hurt anyone. Was it out of line? Yes. Was it offensive? Very. Did he mean to hurt the entire world? Probably not. When you say enough things throughout your life, something's going to be the wrong thing that you said, especially when you're always taking risks linguistically. When you're always taking risks in your speech, eventually you're gonna cross a line. It's just inevitable. It's inevitable. Yeah, should he have gotten a lashing? Yes. The blowback that he got justified 100%, but lifelong indictment and hatred? No.
No, but everybody that owns a smartphone thinks they're some type of CEO. I'm gonna tell you right now. Dude, I'm telling you right now. If I was the world's biggest Kobe fan and I'm sitting there crying my eyes out, and I'm telling you, I mean this, me, like right now, everything I happen to be like a Kobe fan, right? And I see that, right? I'm not gonna go, I want his job. I'm gonna go, what a fucking asshole, and I'm gonna hang. You know what I mean? Why do people think they have to wield so much power?
Just think about in your own social circles. You know what I mean? We've all were young. We all had friends. We've all been drunk. We've all said dumb shit. I've said some crazy, wild, offensive shit. Obviously, if you can't tell, I'm sorry, I'm swearing a lot today, but if you can't tell, we're pretty edgy in general. I said things where my own group of friends were like, hey man, that was an asshole thing that you said, or you were a dick just then or whatever. And I've been embarrassed and I'm like, you were right. But they didn't cast me out of the community and never be my friend again. I got checked up. I was ashamed for a little bit. I was like, yeah, you're right, man. My bad. I didn't mean to do that. And then forgive, forget, move on. Let's have a good time. Let's go.
I got checked too. This one girl that we were going to school
Everyone's
with
been checked.
killed herself.
On
And
Earth.
I remember I said something like as a joke out loud to my friends, and another guy from another group walks over and he goes, "Hey, you say some shit like that again, I'm gonna knock you the fuck
Fair.
out." And I'm telling you,
Fair,
right now,
bro.
and I sat there and I looked at him, and I was mad afterwards, but I really understood. I didn't say anything else. And you know what? I started thinking.
I like that.
Yeah, I started thinking
I'm
in
a
my
fan of
head.
that.
I started thinking in my head. You know what? I should really watch my mouth when people are mourning and stuff like that.
We all get out of line
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
But guess what he didn't do? He didn't walk over and say, "Hey, man, I'm going to knock you out and you should never work again. I'm
Yeah.
going to tell your job. I'm going to get you fired. Your family should disown you. No one should ever speak to you again. Your kids should be ashamed of
Yeah.
you. You should be taken to jail."
I'm exposing you.
One of my favorite phrases is like the punishment doesn't fit the crime.
It never does.
We got to
these
get
days.
back to the punishment fitting the crime.
People want blood, dude, like bad. And you know what's so funny is that it's such a weird thing because it's like, all right, so they want them off the internet, they want them off social media, and then they go on social media, and that's where they air it out and stuff like that. Everything is just this big social media thing. Everybody's looking for likes and stuff. It's weird.
Can we at least do like a good versus bad column? Like, all right, so that guy comes out, whatever. Ari Shaffir comes out and says that shit he said about Kobe, which is completely wrong, and everyone's up in rage and they want him dead or whatever. So now it's like, all right, now we have to go through his history and find out all the great things that he did and put him in the good column, and then all the bad things and put him in the bad column. Does he really deserve this? He probably did more good than bad in his lifetime. Yeah. You know what I mean?
He was one of
I don't
the
know,
people,
aggregate total.
He was one of the people that got Carlos Mencia out of comedy. He does deserve a handshake.
He also did drug one of his best friends. Was it Bert?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I think he put LSD or
that's
Molly or
fucked
something.
up,
Yeah,
dude.
he does. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
But he's a bit of a sociopath. But
He is.
But guess what? His best friend who he did that to, they had like a bit of a falling out over it. They had tension. I don't remember if it was Bert or not, but it ties into the next thing
Yeah,
by
sure
accident.
does, yeah.
But at any rate, like they're friends again. He was mad at him for a while. You know what I mean? You pay your penance, you move
Yeah.
on. You don't destroy someone's entire person.
And you know what's so funny? As much as like he parties, maybe he did think he would have a good time with it. You know?
I'm sure that's what it was.
I would be kind of pissed off.
I'm sure it
though.
was he wasn't trying to hurt him. It was a
No,
misguided.
of course not. Yeah.
Dude,
And
I played practical jokes that were misguided. Whoops.
just like I got checked for that, we've all like thought something was going to turn out really funny and it doesn't, and you come off looking like a dick.
Dude,
too. It
when I
just
was in
happens.
elementary school, I watched this show or this movie, and I don't remember what it was, but the guy goes in the movie. You know that old thing where you make someone look down and then you like do the whoop to their nose?
Yeah.
Well, he did it and he slapped him in the face, and it was like funny in the movie. I went to school, I did that shit. I think his name was Clark, my buddy Clark. Did that and slapped him in the face. I was not the coolest guy in school that day. Like, he got sad. Everyone got like, "Oh, what the fuck?" Like, I was an asshole for that day,
Yeah,
more or less.
yeah.
I didn't know better. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just I know I was a kid then. That's not the perfect parallel reference, but you're never going to stop
No,
making
but
mistakes.
Two ways you could go about it.
I felt bad.
Now, after you do it,
felt
everybody's
bad.
going, "What the fuck's your deal?" Like, you know, you could either
Double down,
baby.
Then I
You start
clock him.
acting- Yeah, you're like, "Fuck you."
I just
huh?
drop him instead.
You just start acting like a
Start eating his lunch and just peeing on him.
You know what sucks though, man, is what are you doing? Hey,
Alicia,
what are you doing?
one of my
sweetie?
roommates. She's the shit.
a bomb, dude. She's a bomb.
Bomb.com.
And you know, it's so funny. It's like, because you're in the moment, in the heat of the moment, it's like you're so embarrassed that you're like, okay, I got to do something more.
Dude, I was paralyzed inside.
And you know what?
With shame.
And you know what's so funny? You never win them over. It's
Never.
not. It's already done. That's why, man. The older you get, you realize that the damage is done. You don't take it any further. Don't try to talk your way out of it. You know,
Just
what?
apologize.
Just apologize
and move on.
and feel that little bit of like embarrassment for like the next hour, and it will move on.
And when I say apologize, here's something that I would like to touch on.
Sincerely
apologize doesn't mean grovel. That doesn't mean get on your hands and knees and hate yourself and beg for forgiveness with tears streaming down your face. And for the rest of you, don't debase yourself. You know, take it like, man, I'm sorry, man. I messed up there.
Mistake.
Shouldn't have said that. Shouldn't have done that. It won't happen again. And then guess what? And I mean it. And I feel bad about it. And I mean it. But if you hate me after that, you're the asshole, not me, man.
Yeah.
You're the asshole.
And you know what? Honestly.
Or if you're not going to let it go ever and you're just going to like, dude.
Absolutely.
Okay, let me follow you around and when you make your one mistake, let me ostracize you from all of society. It's inevitable. You're going to do it.
And if we're given that lesson, the truth is that, you know, listen, they say don't be so quick to forgive. Listen, if you've never had an issue with this person before, forgive. Just get over it. Everybody just needs to start acting like adults again.
Yeah,
man.
we don't need
You
to
know
start
what I mean?
picketing over everything.
Yes, dude.
It's like
why are people so like offended about everything. And I know this isn't like some news flash thing, but everybody's just outraged 24/7 every time you turn on the TV. Is it that, you know, that fear sells type of thing? And now it kind of turned into this new outrage sells kind of thing.
It's crazy.
You know what
dude.
I mean? Yeah.
It's crazy. The whole thing. Well, it's just, you know, just to drive views and attention watching the TV screen. And that's all it is, man. It's just to get you watching them. That's it.
Yeah. Speaking of a never ending want of attention.
Go ahead.
Bert Kreischer's new movie's coming out.
All right. So Bert Kreischer, we talked about Joe Rogan. Bert Kreischer is in the comedy circle with these guys. Also a friend of Tom Segura's. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Also, I like Bert Kreischer, so I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, but it does need to be addressed. Go ahead, Billy.
It's all right. So if you listen, if you've had the internet for longer than 10 years, then you know his machine story. You know, he told some story about in college, they went to Russia. They had to board this train. They wind up having some Russian mobsters on there. And I guess Bert partied with them or something. You know what? I'm telling you right now, when I first heard it, I had a smile on my face the whole time. It was a good story. It really was. It wasn't the most wonderful thing I've ever heard, but it was a damn good story. I would totally give him that.
And that's the shirt off bit that he does, right?
Yeah, you seen it, man. You know, machine. You know, he does the whole thing and stuff like that. All right, Bert Kreischer, his star's kind of dwindling. Now you know him because he hangs out with Joe Rogan from time to time. He's in that circle and stuff like that. We'll talk about really milking it. I think that here's I know this guy goes a little deeper. I think writers are so scared. Was that a child?
No, it was a cat.
Oh, okay. I think writers are so scared to come up with anything new that they'd rather just like pass the buck. Because Sebastian Maniscalco,
big fan of his,
has a new movie about Robert De Niro being his dad. I think they're just kind of like, okay, like let the comedians do it. You know, then they'll get whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
they'll take the creative risk.
Exactly, because writers
and I won't
will
get
not,
egg on my face.
Writers will not do anything creative. They won't cross lines. It's just it. So Bert Kreischer, his dad's Mark Hamill in the movie, and you know what the most unbelievable?
So they made a movie out of this bit called The Machine.
This 3-minute bit.
This tired bit that everyone has heard a trillion times.
Now you can see the movie about.
Look, I actually think that Bert Kreischer would be a funny guy to know in real life. He'd be cool to have a beer with. I actually think that we would be friends if we hung out. But at the risk of sounding like a complete asshole, he's kind of a one-hit wonder.
Dude, yeah. And I'm telling you right now, if you did go out and drink with him, I promise you.
I'm not saying I'm better than him. Yeah. I'm not saying I could do what he does, but that's the facts. Like, he's not Richard Pryor, man. Yeah. He's not a revolutionary, groundbreaking dude. He's just not.
Well, if you came up with that amazing story, can't you come up? You're a talented storyteller. You're telling me you don't have any other in the chamber that you could go in there
he's
and
not
make
a
just
talented
as popular?
storyteller. That was a true story. He lived that. He has to live.
So you think that he can't come
a
up with
talented storyteller is like Louis C.K. or Jim Jeffries is a very talented storyteller. Or embellish it, or like, you know, take a kernel of truth and turn into this whole experience that never really happened. Man. Things like that. Yeah. And Bert Kreischer's thing is he just overlaps at everything and just puts out way too much energy.
Now you know it's so funny though, dude. The most unbelievable part of this whole like the trailer that I saw, because I'm not gonna see the movie, but it's so funny that somebody walks up to Bert Kreischer at like some pool party that they're throwing, and they're like, "Hey, the machine," and Bert Kreischer's like, "Come on, guys, listen, I'm not working right now. I'm just," dude. That is literally what you are. You're literally the guy that won't stop telling that story, dude. I don't want to hear like you're just so annoyed of everybody asking for the machine story. Dude, I'm sorry. It killed me.
That's like if you know like that guy that like met the president once and he's just in a bar like 50 years later hammered, like, "I ever tell you when I met the president?"
And then there he came. Nixon comes in with his shiny shoes.
Only 8,000 times.
You know what I mean? And you know what, dude? Honestly, it probably started off as a good story just like this, but nobody's begging Bert Kreischer to tell that story. If you know that story, you don't need to hear it. I can't believe he got a movie deal though. Like, I wonder who produced that. Dude, and then they pulled Mark Hamill out of there, out of nowhere. Mark Hamill is like untouchable. I mean, he's Luke Skywalker. Like that dude will always be.
He's a legend.
Royalty. Yeah,
he's solidified.
Sure, and that's what he
just
comes
like
out
Harrison Ford, baby, Indiana Jones, and Han Solo.
Yeah.
What?
You know what?
2 for 2.
I always think of Adam Sandler had one good shot for Al Pacino, and he wasted him in Jack and Jill. That always bothered me. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Okay, so Adam Sandler has.
I never seen Jack and Jill.
But you've seen the trailer. It's when he has a twin sister, and she's like, "Oh,
that movie bombed.
It was horrible."
Wow.
But it's just so funny that it's like
Hiroshima.
You used your Pacino card for the biggest piece of shit ever made. You know what I mean? How did you do that? How did you say, okay, now I'm going to call him from a favor from Pacino, and I'm going to use it on Jack and Jill? Come on.
Maybe
man.
he was just so desperate because he knew the movie was going to be a giant turd and he was just trying to save it. He's just fumbling.
But he's done great movies since then.
Yeah, everyone gets one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right, man. And I don't want to go too hard on him. He really had a great run.
When we were all guilty of it. I'm guilty. I'm doing it right now. I'm talking shit about people. Blah. We all do it or whatever. But I never forget. Like, who is this perfect person out there just doing like. The greatest basketball player that ever lived has missed some free throws. Everyone has a bad day at the office. I don't care if you're at the pinnacle, if you're the greatest. I'm sure that Leonardo da Vinci painted a shitty painting even when he was the man. Like,
I think we're careful.
Dude, who doesn't have a bad day?
I think we're careful to do that, though. I think when we do shit on something that somebody's doing, even at the Bert Kreischer thing, we began that with, listen, he's a
doesn't mean he's
guy.
A total piece of garbage and worthless or anything like that. But.
Like Brandon Schaub is not talented whatsoever, and he hangs around Joe Rogan.
No.
At least Bert Kreischer
I'll shit on Brendan Schaub.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, he used his comedy career to meet Joe Rogan. Imagine being Brandon Schaub, who used his knowing of Joe Rogan to create a career, and it's shit. It's insane, dude. It's insane. And speaking of, because it's like.